Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Your boy Microphone back again with our second video of the day. Whenever we upload a video earlier on in the day and we get some crazy NFL news like this, we have to make a video on it, man. I don't ever hold this type of content. I drop the content for you guys immediately. I'm a news channel and I also try to bring you guys additional NFL content, so make sure you take a moment to drop a like, subscribe, and turn notifications on, guys, because we have officially hit 50,000 subscribers on this channel. I want to take a moment to thank you guys, but I also know if I drag on this intro too long, a lot of you guys are going to get mad at me. Just know I'm really thankful for each and every one of you supporting my dream of being a NFL sports analyst, man. I've never thought that we would get to this position, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and I love all of you, man. In addition to this, I have a really big announcement. I've been trying to create Madden content for you guys, and the first video was kind of iffy, the Trevor Lawrence career simulation, but I think I did really good on this next video, on Tua Tagovailoa's career simulation. It's like 30 minutes long, and I put a lot of work into it, so if you could take a moment to go in the description down below and check it out. If you like, maybe subscribe to my gaming channel. I can't really force you. Cue the music. Alright guys, buckle down, because this might be one of the funniest yet pettiest arguments I have ever seen. And bear in mind, I covered the Jay Cutler and Kristen Cavallari divorce. I covered the Earl Thomas and, Earl Thomas's wife's situation. And I also covered DeAndre Baker and Quinton Dunbar's situation. And I don't think this trumps what DeAndre Baker and Quinton Dunbar did, supposedly. But I do think it is on the same level of stupidity and on a greater level of pettiness, at least on one of these wide receivers' sides. So let's get to it. This all starts with a post on Instagram from NFL on Fox saying, which is tougher to do? A, make a catch while guarded by Stephon Gilmore. B, break up a pass while guarding Michael Thomas. Now, really quickly, before we get to it, could you please take 5 to 10 seconds and just comment A or B, guys? Like, let me know what you personally think is more difficult to do. As you guys are saying that, I'll give you my answer after 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you need additional time, just pause the video. In my opinion, I think it's way more difficult to make a catch while guarded by Stephon Gilmore. I just feel like he's going to blanket me, man. Like, I think also breaking up a pass while guarding Michael Thomas is really tough too, because I'm only 6 foot and this guy is very long and practically catches anything in his way. But I think it'll be way more difficult to make a catch on Stephon Gilmore. And believe it or not, if you happen to pick that answer as well, if you happen to pick A, you happen to have also agreed with another wide receiver in the NFL who goes by the name of Devante Parker. Now, if you don't know who Devante Parker is, he is actually a former first-round pick that I actually thought was an egregious draft bust up until last year. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the new head coach and the new regime coming in. Maybe Brian Flores did something to light a fire underneath his ass, but after being absolutely atrocious in his first 4 years in the NFL, well, his second year he showed some promise, but you get what I'm saying. Devante Parker finally turned up this year, posting 1,202 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. To give you an idea of how good that is, his entire career leading up to this past season, he's only recorded 9 touchdowns, and he was able to get that in 1 season. Personally, I'm really happy for Devante Parker. I'm a little bit bitter because I drafted him in fantasy football in 2015, 16, and 17, waiting for this guy to break out, and he finally broke out this past year when I had to face him. But I digress. Devante Parker, if you need a perception of him, he's a player in the NFL that's beginning to find his niche. He's about to find his role, and he's starting to understand it, so major props to Devante Parker. Meanwhile, you also have Michael Thomas. Really quickly, before we talk about Michael Thomas, could we discuss how he looks exactly like 21 Savage? Am I the only one that thinks he looks like 21 Savage, or am I tripping? Let me know in the comments, but We have Michael Thomas, who is pretty much the inverse of Devante Parker in the sense that he was drafted later in the 2016 NFL draft, but right away he started posting up these crazy numbers. To give you an idea, he's only been in the NFL for 4 seasons. This past season, he recorded 1,725 receiving yards for 9 touchdowns. And the craziest part is he almost finished with NFL MVP, which is something that's completely unheard of for a wide receiver. Eventually, Lamar Jackson was the clear choice, but before that, he was getting some hype as the NFL's MVP. Well, Devante Parker happened to have also agreed with me about it being significantly more difficult to make a reception on Stephon Gilmore. My man didn't even at Michael Thomas. It wasn't even supposed to be an offensive thing. He just respectfully said that it's hard to make receptions on Stephon Gilmore. And honestly, I think he made the right choice considering the fact that Stephon Gilmore is in this man's division. You better respect him. Otherwise, Gilmore may completely slash you up next time you play him, Devante. So I see what you did there. But Michael Thomas really took offense to this. I mean, to a new level. Because Michael Thomas responded, and Can't Guard Mike is Michael Thomas's Instagram handle, at Devante Parker. For you, yes. Go run some numbers up. Then you can talk. I lapped you, and you've been in the league longer than me, first rounder, which is pretty much throwing shade at Devante Parker for being a first-round pick that took almost 4 years to finally get a 1,000-yard season. Devante Parker responded back saying, "Got some hard feelings there, brother? Let me get targeted 300 times a game." Mike Thomas responded by saying, "In other words, you weak. They don't even put your name in the same sentence as me. Remember that." Mike Thomas continued by saying, "You still not going to do nothing. It took you 6 years and 17 weeks to have a good game. GTFO, blame your parents, but not no QB." And then Devante Parker, he's not even really going at Michael Thomas, to be honest. He said, "Quit crying, bruh." And Mike Thomas responded by saying, "You heard what I said." At this point, he gets kind of ignorant. Devante Parker said, "I didn't hear anything." Michael Thomas said, "You can't even sit at my table." And I'm going to be honest about how I perceive this. First things first, let's list the quarterbacks that have thrown a pass to Devante Parker. We have Ryan Tannehill, Matt Moore, Jay Cutler, Brock Osweiler, Josh Rosen, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. When you compare those quarterbacks to Michael Thomas, clearly Michael Thomas has a huge advantage over Devante Parker in terms of who has a better quarterback. In terms of who has a stable front office and a stable organization behind him, clearly Michael Thomas wins that as well. He has Sean Payton as his head coach. He's been the head coach for the Saints for over 11 years. But I think what personally drives me the craziest about this entire situation is the display of insecurity that is in Michael Thomas's head. And I don't know what triggers it, because he's clearly one of the top 3 or top 2, or you could even make an argument for the absolute best wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, come on, man. The guy put up 1,700 yards, and it's not like Drew Brees has this cannon of an arm. You know, you got to give him respect. I don't care how many times he's targeted. If you put up numbers like that, then you can make an argument for him being one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in the league. But the fact of the matter is, if you are the best wide receiver in the league, you got to act like one. You don't go onto the internet picking petty little fights with wide receivers that are clearly trying to respect cornerbacks that are in their own division, as opposed to throwing shade at another wide receiver that happens to be in a completely different conference than them. So I don't think Devante Parker meant this personally at all, and I do think Michael Thomas is being extremely petty with the way he's deciding to go about this. But here's another thing, man, and this is something we have to take into account, and I might be justifying Michael Thomas, or I might be trying to humanize Michael Thomas, but I try to give people a lot of rope whenever I'm dealing with people. Personally, I think we're all going a little bit quarantine crazy here. You know, maybe from being cooped inside so much. I think some other stuff is bothering Michael Thomas, and he just happened to lash out on Instagram. If I'm Mike Thomas, I would delete these comments, but it doesn't really matter because we still see them. At the end of the day, I think he was kind of out of line here. You're clearly the better wide receiver, but when you go out and rub it in people's faces, then they're not going to like you as much. I used to think the world of Mike Thomas, and I still think the world about his talent. Now I think he's a very talented wide receiver. That's a pseudo diva. That's a little bit of a crybaby, with all due respect. So let me know if you guys perceive this scenario any differently. Is there something that I clearly didn't pay attention to? Do you think that there's a piece of information that I'm omitting, or do you completely agree with me? Let me know if you're Team Devante or Team Mike Thomas. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mikerophone, and I hope you enjoyed today's double upload because we have another one on my gaming channel. I'll catch you guys in the next upload.